Quad dominance is a problem that's affecting thousands of athletes all over the world. The main issue is that these guys are following bodybuilding split routines where you have a leg day. And in this leg day, you are doing a ton of machine leg presses, leg extensions, hack squats, all kinds of exercises that make your quads the main focus of the workout. And typically at the end, there's going to be 1 or 2 hamstring exercises thrown in. So the result is that people have quad dominance. Now, you may be asking yourself, okay, what's the big deal? What's the problem if my quads are the strongest part of my lower body? Here's the issue. If you're a strength athlete, whether that be for powerlifting, strongman, football, rugby, etc., quads is not what's going to give you athletic performance. It's the backside, aka the posterior chain. This pretty much encompasses a lot of things, but I'm going to say for the sake of this video, glutes, hamstrings, and possibly the adductors. And the problem is that the majority of your leg training that you're doing right now is not hitting these areas. You see, I'm not concerned about the guy who has nice pecs and nice quads. I don't give a fuck about that dude when it comes to athletic performance. The guy that I'm scared about is the one that has a wide, thick back and meaty glutes, meaty, thick hamstrings. And that's because he's posterior chain dominant. So in this video today, I want to explain how to develop a posterior chain dominance because that should be the default for athletes. When you're running, quads are a braking mechanism. They don't actually propel you forward. You know when you do a max effort sprint and at the very end you got to stop? What do? You leg extension. You extend your leg to stop the weight. It's all in the backside. So let me explain how to get that done. First of all, a lot of you guys are doing free squats. Now listen, there's nothing wrong with the free squat. It's one of the best exercises of all time. The only problem, however, is that if you have quad dominance, you're most likely going to make the situation worse by doing all these free squats. So my honest recommendation is to stop doing regular squats and instead squat off a box. Start doing box squats because you can sit all the way back. And when you sit all the way back, you pretty much deload the knees 100%. There's no knee bend whatsoever. And you can load the hamstrings and glutes the way it was meant to be. And this is pretty much the only variation that accomplishes, okay? Like if you do low bar squat, you can sit back more than a high bar, but it's still not to the degree that you can with a box squat. And that's why I recommend it. It's also gonna build the necessary explosiveness that you need for athletic performance. So it has better carryover, in my opinion, to deadlifts and field athlete sports where you suddenly gotta explode out of nowhere. So box squats is the #1 way of squatting if you want to get a stronger posterior chain. It should not be free squats. If you're a bodybuilder, do some free squats. If you're a raw powerlifter, do some free squats. But if you're not in that category, if you're a regular athlete or recreational lifter and you have quad dominance, start doing box squats. And by the way, that's why I included box squats in my novice program. I believe they are superior to normal squats. And of course, they facilitate better recovery, better explosiveness, and it'll eliminate the quad dominance epidemic from arising. That's why guys who follow my program have stronger glutes and hamstrings and quads. They don't have these terrible issues. And let me break something down a little bit further, right? Most guys who have quad dominance, at least the ones that I know, have terrible knee pain and typically anterior pelvic tilt because you tend to see these issues being correlated for the most part. So you're pretty much going to solve all your issues by working the backside more. It's like all these guys who they do bench press all the time and they're rounded forward, right? Well, maybe you should do some fucking rows, and really like correct your posture. It's the same thing with the posterior chain. You got to work the backside. So that's tip #1, switch over to box squats. Secondly, you're going to want to reverse the order of your leg training. You see, what you've been doing so far is hitting a bunch of quad movements and then hitting the hamstrings and glutes later. I say fuck that order, reverse it. I'm serious. So reverse the order. Make sure that around 60 to 80% of your lower body training consists of posterior chain work. Don't even think, make quads a last second thought. And while I'm at it, don't do leg extensions. Why the fuck are you going to make yourself more quad dominant by doing this lift? #1, I don't think it's safe for the knees. People are going to say that it's good for you if you use certain joint angles, but I say fuck that. Fuck leg extensions. You can get more than enough quad development from free squats and other exercises, so fuck that. Drop it, and instead replace it for the leg curl. Do leg curls to work the hamstrings. Simple as that. Or the Russian leg curl or the glute ham raise. These are the movements that you should be doing. And at the same time, here's another point. When you do use a machine, make sure that it's for the posterior chain. Okay? You see me reference the good girl, bad girl machine. I think it's a fucking amazing piece of equipment. It is a machine, but it's not hitting your quads. You're just spreading the knees out, which is going to help you when you're doing box squats, single deadlifts, stuff like that. So use machines that are only going to be beneficial, such as, reverse hyperextensions. That's another great one right there. Regular hyperextensions, again, that's going to work the glutes and hamstrings, especially at the top. There's all kinds that exist. Glute ham raise, one of the best of all time. This is where you should be focusing your attention on. Not all these leg presses, these hack squats. That should not be the main focus of your workout. Oh yeah, another tip, guys, start prioritizing your stretching. Stretching is very important if you want to maintain the proper mobility and not have this quad dominance. Like I said before, Anterior pelvic tilt is typically coupled with your legs being hypertonic. So if you do a lot of hip stretching and hamstring stretching, you'll be able to turn on those muscle groups better when you do heavy pulls. And that should help you out a lot, especially if you're doing deadlifts. Like deadlift is a hamstring and glute builder for the most part. That's what you should feel. You should feel them fucking ripping apart. But you see guys, they're just pressing with their quads. They're pressing with their quads and they're using the lower back to raise. So if you do a lot of mobility work, it might put you in the right structure to properly activate the right muscle groups. And with that said, guys, these are the best tips I can give you in terms of getting rid of your quad dominance. If you have any additional tips for guys who are suffering from this condition, share it down below. And with that, I will talk to you all next time.